It has been 40 levels since we last did Volcanic, and it shows. Although there have been barely any mechanical changes, the enemies themselves have scaled massively in both damage and health. And that made it that I've been stonewalled on this fractal for over a month. The first half of the fractal is not the issue. Though at first I thought I had the wrong gear on because the enemies didn't die as fast, but that's just because of the scaling. The big issue is on the end boss. It's quite vital to be fast on the end boss, and the hamstring instability didn't really help with that. It has been crippling me for over a week. Luckily, the other two instabilities are quite synergistic with it. Normally, only the strongest movement buff is applied to you. However, the instabilities work around that, otherwise the mobility potion would always be stronger than the frailty or the sugar rush instability. So both sugar rush and frailty stack together to ignore the hamstrung downside. And the hamstrung upside of more dodges helps against the extra damage you take from frailty and the faster attacking enemies. Although the enemies move and attack faster, they also crit less. And at the end boss, that's quite a big boon, because the adds there for some reason always crit. But that's for later. First we have a Grawl ambush. There's this conveniently placed rock here, where you can just set up, pull 1 or 2 Grawl at a time, murder ball them, and then just reset for the cooldowns and then continue. This part is over quick. A bit messy, but we get there. The Shaman Rock Bubble is not easy on many classes. I've done it on Thief and Engineer, but Ranger has the easiest job with their pet. That said, the first time you do it, you will always fail. The Grawl will spawn faster than rocks will fall from the ceiling. So the first time you get here, you can just do a dance or watch the series or something. And when enough rocks have fallen, you GG and go again and have a fresh baked batch of rocks waiting for you. If you do it well enough, you can start and get down 4 of the 8 shield bubbles before the first Grawl even reaches its sacrifice. And besides that, swiftness and super speed and a distracting pet makes this a lot easier. The Shaman is tricky, but once you get how he works, then there's nothing to worry about. He shoots out fireballs that will lay down a fire field, but the fire fields will never land near him. So if you can stay close enough, you will only have to deal with the projectile itself. If you're not the target, for Ranger you're never the target because your pet will be, but if the pet is nearby enough, there will be an orange AoE. You want to step out of that ASAP, and if you're in melee range, he will knock you back and reflect. The reflect is not great, so try to avoid having your pet close by. At 70% and lower, the fights become much easier. You will create another bubble, like at the pre-event, where you have to throw a stone to get rid of the bubble. However, he can still be hit by conditions. That's why I'm on a condition ranger, because this is just a free damage phase. Yes, you can get hit by napalm, but the damage is so low that you can just keep damaging through it. Preferably with condition skills instead of X1. Now, the end boss. The end boss gave me quite a bit of grief. It should be a rather simple boss, but there are 4 problems with it. Let me find my notes. The first problem, the shaman will shoot a burning shot. The thing that gets hit will pulse burning around it. Also, it applies agony. So yeah, don't get hit by that, otherwise it's game over. You can stand behind a turret or a nature spirit and have that take up the hit, but you will have to get rid of the AoE burning, or you can have it be distracted by a pet or place down smoke screens to block the projectiles. And 100% endurance regeneration helps, but it's not quite enough. Luckily, you can just dodge 3 hits and then get close, and it will do an orange AoE circle, and with just that you will be able to survive. That's the first problem. Second problem is a firestorm. There's no indication that he will do a firestorm, it just happens every so often. And the first hit will sort of always hit you, because you have to save your dodges for the agony shot. It deals around 1000 damage per hit, give or take, and depends on your armor settings. It's annoying, but you have to run out of it. If you're planning to stand behind a turret or a nature spirit, then you really want to have a lot of health regeneration and toughness to survive that. Problem 3. The phase shield. At every 25%, the boss will shield itself and then fly slowly towards one of the sacrifices. Once it reaches one of the sacrifices, it will swoop up and then swoop down. If it manages to swoop down, it will heal for 20%, and you have to do everything all over again. To get rid of the shield, you have to use certain skills. At first, you would think that just hitting it a lot of times would help, but no. Skills like Flamethrower on NG and Unload on Thief, although they hit a lot of times, you only use one skill activation, which is the trigger. But it has to be a damaging skill activation. Just swapping kits on NG does not work. It has to be a damaging skill. That said, not every damaging skill works. For example, using Grenade Kit or Mortar Kit on NG does not work. For some reason, every ground targeted skill does not consume a shield stack. Also, the skill has to activate. For example, if you're on Thief and you're out of range, you can't spam Steel to get rid of the stacks. It has to actually activate, even though it's an instant activation skill. The best way to get rid of the shield stacks is mostly with auto attacks and lots of quickness. This means that Rangers and Thieves are the best for this. Not only do they have really fast auto attacks, they also have access to pets and summons, which also help reduce the stacks. Turrets on NG do not work. And not only do turrets not work, their auto attacks are all very slow in comparison to Shortbow on Ranger and Dagger and Pistol on Thief. However, the thing that NG has going for it is that they have more quickness. And there's one more caveat, is that a melee skill you can use whichever way you're facing. So you can run away while spamming a melee skill. A range skill, you have to be facing the boss, so you can't always run away. You have to strafe away sometimes to still be able to see it. This part gave me a lot of grief, mostly because of problem 4, but that's for later. So I graphed out where the midpoint is between all the sacrifices. And although it's possible on Thief and Ranger to break the shield consistently when starting from this midpoint, in conjunction with problem 4 and other issues, it would be a Pyrrhic victory after destroying the shield. Best is to start just south from the northeastern sacrifice and hope it doesn't eat that sacrifice but another one, so you have a lot more time to break the shield. There's around just above a 40% chance that it doesn't eat the northeastern sacrifice during a boss encounter, and above a 30% it will only eat the sacrifice you're near. I've tried to lure the boss all the way into the lava. There is a spot just below the Mistlock Singularity where you can stand and range the boss, but there's also a little cave way away into the lava where you can lure the boss to. However, if the boss starts in the lava and it will shield up, it will not fly very far, and it will remote sacrifice one of its targets and just heal, even though it's in the lava or somewhere else in the arena. So although it might be a rational idea to start it far, far away from where it wants to go, in practice it's actually the opposite. You would have less time to break the shield and it would be in the lava, where you don't want to be. Once the boss comes out of its shield, the trouble isn't over, because it will be enraged for around 10 seconds, quadrupling its damage. This means that the moment they come out of the shield, they will fire off a firestorm. And before you will notice that you're standing in a red circle, you will already have taken 4,000 damage, or perhaps even 8,000 damage. Couple that with a single hit from a lava elemental and the run is over. So it's important to have a block or a big heal ready the moment the boss comes out of its shield. Problem 4. The lava elementals. Once the boss shields up, out of every magma pool on the arena, a lava elemental will spawn. That's 13 lava elementals. And the moment they spawn, they will group around the boss and perform jittery pet AI, which is really annoying to work around. The lava elementals hit hard. On any damaging gear, they hit around 5k crits, and on any cleric gear, on this account, they will hit around 3k crits. And they, for some reason, they have a really, really high crit ratio. Luckily, today Sugar Rush brings that down, but don't count on that. I don't foresee myself being really lucky. Not only do they hit hard, they also immobilize. Immobilizing is annoying at the best of times, and for this fractal, if you get immobilized, then you're just a sitting duck for the agony shot, problem number 1, from the boss. So being immobilized is a death sentence. The way I figured to deal with them is to kite them around. If you're fast enough, their projectiles won't hit you. However, this brings me to a problem with Guild Wars 2 low manning, aggro control. You see, for most of the old Guild Wars 2 content, there exists an annoying rule of aggro. Only the 5 closest enemies within 600 range will be aggro to you, or if you've damaged them, they will be aggroed onto you for a little longer. This means that if you just focus on the lava elementals, there's a big chance that the shaman will just reset, because it's not one of the 5 closest enemies and you haven't hit it for a while. So even though there are 13 hard-hitting elementals, only 4 or 5 of them will attack you, while we still have to hit the shaman. Also, just kiting won't work, because there will always be an elemental in the way, because they always are annoying AI little creatures that swarm around the boss, and we have to be near the boss to be able to hit it. So my solution was to just hit everything, because if you hit everything is aggroed around you, there will be no annoying lava elementals in your way. And the solution I came up with was Mortar Kit or Grenade Kit on Engie, or Shortbow on Thief, because those have ground targeted skills. For example, Choking Gas on Shortbow will lay down a field which will hit multiple enemies. And with this we can just run around and dodge the burning shots while still hitting all the enemies. So all of these problems combined, there is not a single of my classes that can reliably deal with each of the problems. Mainly the Ranger just loses in aggro control, you will see that in the bonus fields. And the Thief will just be mercilessly slaughtered if it gets hit with 1 or 2 lava elemental hits. And the problem with Engineer is that it has a hard time getting rid of the shield. However, with the instabilities Sugarish or Boon Overload, the NG can reliably destroy the shield. Otherwise you have to be lucky. Couple that with the optimal placement. Today is the day for NG. That said, I really believe I can do this on Thief, although I value my sanity higher. So, with a Cleric's build, where I just hide behind the turret, it's NG's time to shine. See you in the next one.